How do you see Gregg Berhalter right now as the head coach after everything that has happened, and especially leading into next summer with Copa America coming up?
Yeah, let's start first of all with the part here with this Vanity Fair article. Gregg, and I feel I was excited to see him get the opportunity again, because I felt that, he was in contract negotiations. I felt he'd done enough in this first cycle to earn a second shot. I was proud of the way the team played at the World Cup. I think he spent time over 3 to 4 years building a bond with this young group of players, finding ways to connect to them, changing the style of play, changing ultimately, again, I think the way that we are perceived globally, and that we can actually play soccer, pretty soccer, and I think that was Gregg's mission from the beginning. There were the unfortunate incidents that you referenced and laid out, and without rehashing all of that, I just feel that, one of his strengths from the beginning was his ability to connect with the team internally and create a culture of trust, accountability, togetherness, you name it. And I think one of the questions coming out of the the Howe Institute when he spoke, and people were saying Gregg's lost the locker room. Well, I think we found post World Cup and post-mortem off of everything that happened, and in fact, Gregg had not lost the locker room. Maybe he had lost a little bit of respect in the way in which that was handled, and maybe a little bit of trust within that, right? And some of the players saying, well, Gregg aired some of the dirty laundry, whether unintentionally he did. And I think just, as a coach, you never want to be bigger than the team, and you never want that to be the perception in a way. And I think in the way a Vanity Fair article comes out pre your first camp, like, how about your first time that you talk to your team, or even publicly anybody hears from you, it's your team within the group, first camp, setting the tone, first press conference. Hey, we're back. Our heads are down. Mission is on 2026. And I get that a lot of that has to be addressed. And I'm a little disappointed that he and Gio have not found the time, because if you feel Gio is going to be a big part of the team into this next cycle, I think that warrants a flight to Germany and finding the time to not just visit Gio, but visit other guys in Europe. But, Gregg's had a lot of time between being the coach. I mean, he didn't even coach the Gold Cup. BJ Callahan was out there with the team that ultimately fell short of expectations. But this is the beginning in the new cycle, and I think it's a priority. Either you're going to get Gio on board or you're not. But I think, they've both we've heard Gregg state publicly that he wants to be able to connect to him. And, if I'm Gio Reyna reading that right now, I'm a bit like, oh, you're going to go through a mediator, and everything you're going to say is going to be, contrived in this way that you think is going to be best for me. I don't know. It just feels a little,
but this is why it's so delicate. And it's fascinating to me in terms of, we talk about coaches and we talk about X's and O's and all that kind of stuff, but really what it comes down to is management and management of personalities and the dynamic that exists right now. I think, to be quite honest, I think Gregg Berhalter's biggest challenge relative to Gio Reyna, is not treating him with kid gloves and not pulling his punches when it comes to Gio Reyna. Because if there comes a point when either he doesn't feel that Gio Reyna is the best to start, or he doesn't feel that Gio Reyna is the best to put in as a substitute, or that he doesn't feel Gio Reyna is the best to bring into a camp, he has to make that call. And if and when he makes that call, automatically people are going to say, oh yeah, but this. And Gio's almost in this this rarefied air, and then in this no lose position where he almost gets to play the martyr. And so that's why I think this is just such an interesting dynamic.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops every week. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.